I have a different perspective on dating, and it is biblical, it's practical, and it's from my own experiences. It's from people that are mentors that have been married 25 plus years, 40, 60, so on and so forth. But I'm hearing people teach about it now. But for the longest of time, all you heard was don't fornicate. But you didn't have no in between. Like, well, how do you not do that? And what are you doing in between time? And, you know, um, it's real cut and dry. It actually is not that complicated. And I've never really been a part of a singles ministry except for when I got to one church. And it was a very horrible experience because um, it was mostly women. Well, all women, 99.9% women. There was a female and a male teacher, and they both hence was single. They both were single. But the female act like she really didn't want to be married because she had been married before. And she was a quote unquote independent woman. And the male act like he didn't even, like, we discussed him. Like he barely came to the meetings at all. So it was very awkward. Most of the women there were there to try to figure out, what do I do now? Either divorced, widow, or just never been married, and single mothers, whatever. And it's crazy because they just all, it just looked like a graveyard. The women were just down and depressed and trying to figure out. In the speaker, the leader, she tried to give them hope, but that's not what, to me, it's not about hope to be married or to be found. It's about knowing who you are. And she did a lot of stuff, like we would go out to eat and stuff, and all the women, and I'm like, I don't like this is uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't go out with a bunch of single women. All pretty much since I was a teenager, really earlier than that, I've always hung around what I wanted to be, and that's wise, hung around wise people, married, hung around married people, and diversity. I've always been a diverse person to deal with different cultures. But I'm not finna be in no group with no single women, like put me on Front Street like that. So I was extremely uncomfortable. So what I did was I volunteered to help her. And what I found, that being uh, married women have issues as well, similar issues like insecurity. Single women have battle with insecurity, so do married women. And so this is something that I found that married women try to conceal, and they hide behind their husband and children, and knowing that they're insecure and they're jealous and they're envious and they're wanting something different. But they put on the front to single women like, oh, we're just so happy and you're so miserable. Lies. And so what I feel the single ministry should be, it shouldn't be a singles ministry. Don't even talk to me on that level. It should be a ministry where both divorced, married, and unwed women come together and have real conversations. Married women need to be honest. Like my mentors that are married, like one of my mentors, she is totally honest about her marriage. They have ups and downs. They've been married 25 plus years, and they have 4 grown children. And she doesn't make it seem like it's a bowl of cherries, even though it's a beautiful experience. But being by yourself is also a beautiful experience. So, and a lot of another issue with talking to church folk about this stuff is a lot of folks that's married, they was fooling around before they got married, so they don't even know what it feels like to be a single Christian, because you was always fornicating with your spouse before y'all got married and having children and all that. So you really don't even understand my journey, to be honest. So I really don't want to hear from you, because you really don't understand what it means to be in my position. So I decided not to take any of those routes, to take a route that suggests that I can trust God. TD Jakes said something that made perfect sense, and this is how I would put it. If you look at your life like a house, and all the rooms in the house, and when you have guests over, and you allow guests into certain areas of your home, but most certainly not your bedroom or certain bathrooms or certain areas that are reserved for your personals or whatever. But God is not a guest in your home. So you don't just lock God out your bedroom because you want to do your own thing. And they're understanding that God created intimacy. So a lot of times as Christians, we let God into most of our rooms, but in the bedroom, we want to figure that out because God, he don't know nothing about sex and relationships and marriage. No, he created that. So he knows all about it. So we lock him out of there so we can figure it out. And that's why we have the catastrophe of divorce and broken heart, broken marriages, broken home, because we lock God out of the bedroom part of our life. And so I decided to take a different approach. I don't need to be around a bunch of single women that's thirsty and desperate and waiting on a husband. I don't need to be around married women perpetrating like they happy and they not. I don't need to be the laughing stock of the church community because I'm single. What I need to do is find out where I am in God and how I can be whole right where I am. So I decided to let God into the bedroom of my life. And when I did that, I realized that even he had that part figured out for me. And I was like, wow, what a burden lifted, that I don't even have to wait for my husband because God already got him somewhere, working on him while he working on me. And that delivered me from all of that foolishness. And since I did that, that was 10 years ago where I gave God that. And he came to me in a vision, which he asked me to give him. He asked me to let him into the bedroom of my life, give him my desire to marry. I'm like, but that doesn't make sense, God. How you know what I want and what I like, and I don't want a white man, like, cause I have a few friends that are in interracial marriages and all that, and I'm totally for it, but I'm not attracted to white men, so, and I'm like, I just don't want a white man. I love my black men, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might send me somebody white, Asian, and I ain't with that. I ain't what I want. And me and God having this exchange, not face to face, but we're having this vocal exchange. And all I see is his hand and nothing else. And he had me back in the bathroom in a corner where I couldn't do nothing. And so I just was telling him about how he didn't know what he was doing. I was like, God, he might be ugly, Lord, he might be this, he might be that. And I was terrified. I remember the terror of giving God my desire to marry and letting him do it. It terrified me. God, you might send me somebody that I don't want. And you know what? I'm sure God has a sense of humor, but what ended up happening was I reluctantly gave him my desire. And ever since then, he has been faithful in letting me know at any time that I get discouraged or I worry, he lets me know, whether through a sign or through reinsurance or through encouragement or whatever, that you gave me that. You let me in the bedroom part of your life, and trust me, I got it all figured out. It's already done. So that's not something for me to worry about. And I feel like that's the approach that a Christian should take, is giving it to God. Not you go out trying to find somebody. You going out here trying to sample the goods first, and you going out here and doing things your way. And we can't as a believers, we can't live that way. No way. We ain't about that life no more, So you can't do that, you know what I'm saying? And then turn around and say, I'm human, God forgives me. Yeah. That's the excuse that every believer say when they know they done jacked up and they're too arrogant to admit it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we know only God can judge you. That's not the Bible. That's Tupac. So at the end of the day, just admit, hey, I have a problem with my flesh, and I'm trying, and God is working. Don't do the excuses. I'm only human. I'm a man. God understand. God forgave me. You Christians always judge people. No, the Bible has already judged you in our actions. What we have to do is take responsibility and ownership of what we do, and be a better example to the people that we're leading. And so before I became celibate, I was very promiscuous. I knew the Bible. I was a leader in the church, all that, and I did what I wanted to do because I was human and God understood, and only God can judge me, from the book of Tupac. But then I realized that that's being a coward. You know what I'm saying? And it's very arrogant to sit up there and not admit that, hey, I got a problem with my flesh, and and God pray for me because I know what I'm doing ain't right. I was just arrogant, and I made excuses. And when you talk to people like that, they get offended because they're making excuses. And I made excuses. I was dating, I was having sex, and I was a leader in a church, and I made excuses. And when I realized that God does understand, He understands that you understand His word and what He's told you, what He said for you to and not to do. And He also understands that you're disobedient and that you think you all that and got it figured out, and that you know more than what He know. That's what He understands, that you think you know it all, and you don't. You don't know anything in comparison to the splendor and the majesty of God. You know nothing. But I got real with my condition, and that's when God got real with me. And so once I let Him into the bedroom of my life, all that went away. That anxiety, the worry of being married, because God was like, do you not understand? I called you. I gave you a name. My mother didn't name me. My grandmother did. My grandmother named me Khandyss. My mom named me Angel, and my grandmother named me Khandyss. So that's why my name is misspelled. I created what you look like, where you come from, the hairs on your head. I did all of that. So for you not to trust me with your life partner, the person that you're going to do ministry with, because marriage is a ministry, that lets me know that you think that you know more than what I know. And that makes you arrogant. And that is pride. And pride comes before the fall. Anytime you get to the point where you know it all and you know more than God, right at that point, right after that, you about to fall, because you don't know more than God. So I gave Him that. I said, God, I would never taught that you got that part figured out, because it seems like a monopoly where God is choosing somebody for you, and whether you like it or not. That's not what it is. What it is God knows the beginning, your beginning and your end. He's the Alpha and Omega. So what it is He know you right here in your middle, but He know the end, and He know who capable of getting to the end with you, because you don't know your end yet. So how you gonna pick somebody and you don't know your end? You don't know if they're capable of getting to the end. You got to figure that out. God said you ain't got to figure that out, because see, I already know the end, because I'm the beginning and the end. So let me put you with somebody that I know can finish with you, because see, it's one thing for somebody to start with you. You can figure that out. Y'all dating, y'all courting, y'all doing whatever. But you don't have the capability to know if they are equipped to finish with you. That's where God and His infinite wisdom comes in, where you know they started with you, but you don't have the ability to see if they can finish with you. So that's where God says, let me do it, because I can see that and you can't. But we're so smart and we're so successful that we go and we just pluck somebody that we think is all right and good. And that's what happened with Saul and David. The people wanted Saul because he was handsome and he was tall and he was wealthy and he was everything that a woman could want in a man and the people could want in a king. But God didn't choose Saul. The people did. However, this is why there's a difference between God's plan and what God plans and what God permits. Because God permits things, not necessarily that He plans things. So He permitted me to sleep around and have a good time doing it. But His plan was for me to have one man. You know what I'm saying? But that didn't work out. And I did what I want to do. But that's where grace and mercy come in, But at the same time, the people chose Saul. And because God saw what they wanted, He gave them what they wanted, until they realized that Saul, he was he was eye candy. He was obviously intelligent. He was obviously wealthy, but he was not fit for that time and dispensation to be king. And when the man came to choose another king, because, okay, God give you what you want sometime, you know what I'm saying? but he'll give it to you long enough for you to figure out that that's not for you. And if you're wise enough, and if you can put pride aside, you can say, you know what, God, this is a nice house that I built, but I built it on sinking sand, and I would like for you to knock this house down, and I would like to build it on the sure foundation, which is the blood of Jesus Christ. That's what I want to build my life on, and my house on, and my ministry on, not a beautiful house on sinking sand. So when the people, when they realized, y'all got what y'all want, y'all got Saul, y'all wanted Saul, you got Saul. They got Saul, realized Saul wasn't what they needed, what they wanted, but he was the person they elected. So then he got to go and find another king, which God already knew that was going to happen. And they go and find David, but David was not the people's choice. And they say that David was pretty handsome once he got of age, and he was nice looking, but when he was a young lad, he was a little pipsqueak, you know what I mean? So they went and got David, and David was like, they wanted to choose David, and they like, all the brothers, he getting ready to go pick another. And that's how we do with dating, where we picking somebody that we like. We don't pray about it. We don't ask God. We just go and pick somebody. And because God don't strike us down with a bolt of lightning, we think he approves of it. So we keep dating. I've done it. I'm not talking to nobody. I'm talking to myself. We keep dating. We keep doing whatever we're doing. And then that ends, and we go to do it again. And we still don't do it God's way, but because God hasn't sent the bolt of lightning yet, we figure, it must be okay with God, because, he ain't struck us down yet. But that's what they got ready to do with Saul. After Saul, they got ready to go pick another king that the people wanted. And God said, not this time. You're going to pick who I want. And that seems kind of like, God, you're controlling me. But what people fail to realize is, when you gave your life to Christ, you gave your life to Christ. What does that mean? That means that everything you do is about him, not you. But everything you do for him benefits you. So they went and picked David. David didn't, he back there tending to the sheep, cleaning up boo-boo and dong. And but he got more brothers. They handsome, they're tall, they're all wealthy, they're all intellects. And they was like, nah, we want David. And then the preacher, it was so crazy, because the preacher said that Saul and David both had the same job. Saul used to take care of the donkeys, and donkeys are smarter than mules and sheep. But David took care of the sheep. But he said that it was because David was chosen. It had nothing to do with Saul. God chose David, and many are called, but few are chosen. So God chose David, even though him and Saul had a similar background. Saul took care of the donkey. David took care of the sheep, but God didn't call Saul. And he said, because when donkeys are smarter, right? So when they went to elect Saul, all the donkeys were scattered, even though donkeys are smarter. So technically, being that the donkeys were scattered, that's the mindset of Saul, that he didn't really care about the donkeys, or he wasn't passionate about taking care of the donkeys, because even though they are smarter, and his job seemingly would be easier than David's, because sheep are dumb. You know what I'm saying? So donkeys are smart, sheep are dumb. So why are your donkeys not in order when they smarter? But why, when we go to see David, he got dumb sheep, but yet they all in order, because he's passionate about what he does, which shows the condition of his heart. So that's why, David was chosen, because of his heart, not because of his outward works. And so then David became king, but he had problems with his flesh and all that, but God got him together and all that. But my point is, with dating, I realized that God has predestined everything. And what Christians do, we say, God, I know I found my calling. I found my purpose in life. I know what church I'm supposed to go to. God sent me to serve up under this man in this house. But God, when it comes to my spouse, I got to pick them. Okay, go ahead and get you a Saul, because it's going to come a time when you're going to wish you had David. And at the end of the day, that's when we see miserable marriages, messy marriages, children watching adults, and you think your child don't see, and they do. And because we choose Saul, we choose what is appealing to us and what we want, and what we think other people want for us, instead of waiting on God to hand pick our David. And even though David had issues, he was still a man after God's own heart. He was a passionate man with a good heart, even though he had issues with his flesh. And I've had issues with my flesh my entire life, and I still have issues with my flesh. But when I tell you my heart is in the right place, and I love what God love, I hate what God hate. And and that, for me, that delivered me from having to deal with dating. And I've dated. Don't get me wrong. I've been out to eat and stuff like that, like an actual date, not like a intimate date. But I realized that this ain't my battle. God got this. And once I gave him 110% of my life, that's when, and I still battle with anxiety and stuff like that, but I don't battle to the point where I'm worried about God. I worry about if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Because I know God, he got it under control. I be like, God, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I in the right place? Am I in the right season? Am I doing that? But yeah, that's my perspective on dating. Do it God's way so you can get your David and not a Saul. Khandyss Renee. I'm not girlfriend material.